and welcome, Lisette.
Thank you. Oh, yes. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Yesha, for your introduction. So the reason why I chose to talk about Benzaiten, as Yesha said, I am in her Raise the Temple program. My dream is to have a goddess temple in Miami, Florida, and to have one virtually as well. So that's a virtual and a physical temple. Me and my soul sister and best friend, Marlu Martin, who did the artwork, the cover of the presentation I'm going to show you, is a devotee of Benzaiten, and she is a goddess that I have gotten, I'm getting acquainted with, getting to know, and I find her fascinating. She is going to be one of the goddesses we're going to be highlighting in our temple, God is willing. And I'm a devotee of Bridget and Hecate, and Yamaya, and those are some of the goddesses that we will also be highlighting in the temple. But today I want to bring focus to this beautiful goddess Benzaiten, that is not so well known here in the West, but very sacred in Japan. So I'm going to go ahead and forgive me, I'm not very techie. I will do my best to show my presentation. Can you give me permission? Do I have permission?
Yes, you do. You should be
You
able
do.
to go ahead and share your
Oh,
screen.
perfect. Okay. Okay, perfect. 1 second. Bear with me one moment.
There we go. Great.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Wanted to be sure you could see it. Okay, so this beautiful picture that you see was drawn by Marlu Martin, who is my co-priestess in our future temple and the devotee of Benzaiten. And this is a devotional piece that she did for the goddess. And, hopefully will be hanging in our physical temple once we have that going. So I will talk a little bit about her titles, her sacred symbols, rituals to this goddess, her white dragon, who is very important to the goddess, a spell for the dragon, if you want to be able to communicate and connect to her special dragon, and some information on meditations and rituals to her. So, who is Benzaiten? She is the goddess of everything that flows. So anything that you can think of that is a matter of flow is Benzaiten. So we're talking about art, inspiration of every kind, wisdom, water, nurture, beauty, love. So she is definitely connected to love and beauty. When we did the research for Benzaiten, a lot of people refer to her as the Venus or the Aphrodite of the East. So that's kind of one of the nicknames that we found in our research about her, which was very interesting, since I am very connected to Aphrodite as well. So I saw the connection. I thought it was beautiful. She's a very protective goddess. And she is a goddess to turn to for dance and song and art. So if you are an artist or a poet, and for all of the beautiful Japanese styles of art, calligraphy, and all of these beautiful art, art styles, Benzaiten is a blessing or blesses those types of artwork. Her origins. So Benzaiten, between the 6th and 8th century, Benzaiten's devotion was born. She is a Japanese Buddhist goddess that originated from the Hindu goddess Saraswati. She is also a Shinto goddess, and we'll talk about that in a moment. You can find information on her on the Sutra of Golden Light. She is mentioned in the Lotus Sutra, and the samurai venerated her as a protectress. She was shown often yielding multiple weapons. In the 1400s, a character was added to her name to mean wealth. So she used to be called Ben-ten and then became Benzaiten. In the Edo period of Japan, 1603 to 1866, she was worshipped as the personification of wisdom. She is definitely a goddess of wealth. And here is a little bit of a breakdown on what her name actually means, which is Ben, which means speech, words, or dialect. Zai, which means wealth or money, and Ten, which means heaven. So her popularity is also traced to the Muromachi period of 1392 to 1568, when when the spelling of her name became cemented or obvious. Then as you can see, the name of wealth was added to her name, which was Zai. Okay, because she is associated to wealth. She is also a neononten, which has to do with speech, goddess of wonderful sounds. So if you have musical inclination, she's the goddess of conversation, eloquence, poetry, song, storytelling, influence, and persuasion. She is a goddess of talent as well. This instrument that you see in her hands is the biwa. The biwa is her sacred instrument, and it is used for chanting, used to tell stories, not so much for song. So it was a musical instrument that would accompany any type of chanting to her, or if you told a story, you would use the biwa. That was traditional for her. She's also the goddess of the sea. Her shrines are all located in coastal areas in Japan. Every major city in Japan has a shrine or temple that's dedicated to her, always located near a body of water, such as a lake, a pond, or a river. And many of her shrines, called Benten Do or Benten Sha, are still active to this day. So if you go to Japan, you will still find her shrines located in areas near bodies of water. She is, once again, a goddess of protection, peace, courage, and luck. The Japanese consider Benzaiten to be also a patroness of governmental officers, gamblers, musicians, geishas, and dancers, marriage, and good luck in general. In older times, she was also she protected the emperors and the samurai. Today, she protects anyone who propagates her name. So one of the interesting things that we found about the goddess is that if you invoke her, if you connect to her, or if you just propagate her name, she will connect with you very much. She wishes to have her name be out and about in the world, and she is a beautiful energy to connect to. So we've done meditations with her, and it's a beautiful energy. It really is. She's a beautiful goddess in every sense. Goddess of love and beauty. Women who venerate this beautiful goddess and who are wishing to have beautiful daughters will sit at Benzaiten's temple for 7 days, fasting and praying. So we found this to be a very fascinating ritual that women would engage in Japan, because it was very important. Not just women would, of course, always hope to have a daughter, but the goal was to have a daughter who was beautiful, graceful, and beautiful. So they would pray to Benzaiten to have this happen. In more modern times, she's known to bless those who seek her to find love or to bless their love. So if you are seeking to be part of, to be in a love relationship, or you want your relationship to be blessed, that is one of the things that Benzaiten is supposed to be, a goddess that will definitely bless your union. She is goddess of the divine feminine. Since Benzaiten is the only goddess of luck in Japan, the only female among the 7 gods of fortune, she is the goddess of divine feminine in Japan, rapidly growing in all parts of the world. So of the 7 lucky gods, she's supposed to be the only female of the 7 lucky gods in Japan. So that this is the reason why they call her the goddess of the divine feminine. That was one of the titles that we found in our research of her. Once again, goddess of luck in Shintoism. Benzaiten, only female deity to be included in the word is Fukujin, hope I'm pronouncing that right, or 7 lucky gods. Each of the lucky gods brings their own blessings and virtues. Benzaiten, who is associated with knowledge, musical ability, and talent, it says that she is associated with a blessing that flows from all the lucky gods, which is wealth. Okay, so if you desire to have wealth in your life, you connect to the 7 lucky gods, and specifically to Benzaiten. In Shinto, she is the primary Shinto, which is the primary Japanese religion of Japan, since Japan is a mixture of Shinto and Buddhism. It is the indigenous pre-Buddhist religion of Japan, still considered a major religion today. Japanese Shinto focuses on the honoring of nature. The concerns of daily life frequently practiced with Buddhism, which focuses on the concerns of the afterlife. Many Buddhist deities are considered to be Shinto kami, the life force behind nature that connects one with the divine realm and earthly manifestations. In Shinto, Benzaiten is considered an avatar of Amaterasu. So who is Amaterasu? The meaning of her whole name is Amaterasu Omikami, which is the great august kami, or god, goddess, who shines in the heaven. She is the goddess that embodies the sun, who rules the universe. She is considered the sun. She is a principal deity of Japanese Shinto. The royal family of Japan is believed to be directly descended from this vibrant, life-giving goddess. She represents fertility. She causes plants to grow that give life to not only humans, but to the gods as well. And as the guardian of the Japanese people, she's still represented by the emblem of the rising sun on the Japanese flag. So when you see that sun, the Japanese flag is definitely connected to Amaterasu, and she is, Benzaiten is her avatar. So definitely there is a connection between them, sorry. So this is a legend of Benzaiten on what is her connection to her white dragon, which is so important to her. So a dragon once ravaged a village in Kanagawa. Benzaiten swooped down from heaven and engaged the dragon. The dragon was taken aback by her beauty and wits and asked her to marry him. She declined, but influenced the dragon to cease his attacks. The dragon learned compassion and peace and returned to the region. He positioned himself south of the island to keep his eyes facing Benzaiten. The island of Enoshima rose up in the place in which the dragon's lair once rested. There, three shrines, exist for Benzaiten. Some people believe them to have been a couple and offer to the dragon also. The legend is believed to have begun from a roaring sea that encircles the island, made to be the dragon. Lightning would be the cause of Benzaiten's showing up. After the storm, the seas became calmer and was assumed that Benzaiten took care of it. So one of the interesting things about the dragon and Benzaiten is that even though Benzaiten is the goddess of everything that flows, the one thing that she is not particularly credited for is healing, but her dragon is supposed to be credited for healing. So they say that you can turn to Benzaiten for everything, but then you can turn to her dragon if you desire to have healing as well. How is Benzaiten usually depicted? Usually she's holding a mandolin or a biwa, which is a traditional Japanese lute. She's shown riding a golden or white dragon. She usually wears a jewel on her robe that grants wishes. In her protectress role, she has more than 8 arms, 2 arms in prayer or holding the biwa, a spear, a sword, a bow and arrow, an axe, and a key to symbolize knowledge and life. I found that very interesting, me personally being a devotee of Hecate, and seeing that she also holds a key. And I did some research, and there was a lot of mentioning of keys with Benzaiten. So I thought that was very interesting. It caught my attention, and I perked up to learn more about this goddess. There's also the wheel, which is time, cyclic existence, and communion with the moon. Very much considered also a lunar goddess. So they say that as an avatar of Amaterasu, she is connected to the sun, but as her role as Benzaiten specifically, she's connected to the moon. So she's considered both lunar and solar. It depends on which way you connect to the goddess. And as you can see in this painting, my friend drew the brooch. So that particular brooch that is on her clothing is supposed to be a very special brooch. It's supposed to be made of jade and coral. And they say that when you touch the brooch, the goddess gives you gifts, spiritual gifts, or anything that you desire. So in a lot of artwork, they picture her with the brooch, since they say that that is the life-giving or gift-giving ability of Benzaiten, of her blessings. So see, here are some of Benzaiten's sacred symbols. Her element, if you were to do any kind of ceremony to her and would like to invoke her into a circle or into a ceremony, her element is water and air. So you can invoke her for water or air. Direction, both west and east. Her sacred feast day is the summer solstice and New Year's. Her sacred day of the week is Friday, and that is the day that a lot of people in Japan connect to her, especially for her love aspect, or mothers that want to have beautiful daughters, or people that want to connect to her to bless them in their relationship. They do rituals on Friday. Her sacred color is white. All of her animal messengers always appear to be white. Her other favorite colors are blue and silver and yellow. They say yellow flowers are particularly sacred to her, and she is often shown dressed in white and blue or with some silver. Some of her sacred symbols, once again, is the key, the wheel, the boat, and a sword, a bow and arrow, a spear, and an axe. These are to indicate her protective nature. Her sacred mineral is the iron and gold, because she is a goddess of wealth. Here are some pictures of some sacred symbols. Honey and wild berries are also very sacred to her. Yellow flowers, but also the lotus and water lilies. Jade, pearl, and moonstones are some stones that are very connected to this goddess and can be placed in an altar if you'd like to have a closer connection to her. Epimedium tea was a tea that we both read that was used a lot by devotees of Benzaiten. They say that the goddess blesses this particular herb used in this particular tea. I'm sorry, I hope I'm saying this right. Epideminium tea. Sacred animals to her, connected to her, is of course the dragon, but also snakes, turtles, and fox. This is very connected to the goddess. So some ways to connect to her are many rituals of devotion. Meditating while listening to music, especially lute music or flowing water. Wearing jade, pearl, or moonstones for wish granting. Writing your intentions to Benzaiten on a piece of white paper, folding it to look like a snake, and burning the paper to send your intentions to the heavens. Carrying fabrics that resemble dragon scales to bring in wealth. Lovers can write their names on a love note on a pink tablet, ring a bell as it is done in Enoshima, to bring in love. And to drink epideminium tea and ask the goddess to bless your studies. So, a chant to Benzaiten. This particular chant, my friend chants every morning, and I have started to join her in her chanting. And when we have our temple up and running, we will be chanting, of course, to Kuan Yin, but also to Benzaiten. And the chant is On Soda Soba Te E Sowaka. So, and this is a breakdown of what it means. It means on, which is favor or obligation. Sora, which is sky, heaven, space, or the cosmos. Soba, which means near, as I am by your side. Te, which is sovereign or emperor, and E, which means forever and ever or eternity. Sowaka means happiness, well-being. It's often said at the end of a sutra as a kind of blessing. So altogether, it means, may the resulting merits and virtues be distributed everywhere without discrimination. May we all aspire to perfect enlightenment for the sake of other sentient beings and be reborn together in the land of peace and joy. Favors to Benzaiten. So when you chant On Sora Soba Te E Soaka to Benzaiten, traditionally 108 times, you may then ask her for a favor. So this is a way to connect to her in a more deeper level. You may ask for peace on earth, to reach enlightenment and wisdom, for clarity of mind and spirit, for eloquence, persuasion, and the powers of communication, for inspiration to write music, write a book, or create art, for love, passion, fertility, beauty, and divine feminine traits, for physical, mental, and spiritual protection, for fortune, prosperity, and wealth, and for connection to the goddess in general and what she represents. You can ask Goddess Benzaiten for what you desire. So some rituals to Benzaiten. This particular ritual is to welcome prosperity into your home. You can sprinkle salt water at the entrance. And then to generate beauty inside or outside, soak in a bath of Epsom salt while listening to guitar music or music that has a lute or the sounds of a biwa. You can ask favors from Benzaiten, lighting a yellow or silver candle, listening once again to acoustic guitar, offering her honey or wild berries, since this is very sacred to her, in a small cup. Ask her for what you like. Light the candle a little bit every day, at least 15 minutes, while thinking of your intention. After 3 days, you thank her by throwing out the offerings or what is left of the candle from a high mountain or in a body of water. This is a traditional ritual that we discovered that a lot of women in Japan still practice to this day. So this is something that you could incorporate in your practice. This is another ritual for prosperity, okay? It's inspired by practices at the shrine of Kamakura, best done during the celebration of the new year or days associated with prosperity. Some tools are 2 goddess candles, one to represent Benzaiten, white works best, and another to represent an animal associated with her, which you feel close to. Could be the dragon, the snake, the fox, or the turtle. 1 personal candle to represent yourself, and 1 intention candle to represent wealth or prosperity. Could be green or brown. You can use salt water or another sacred water of your choice. Could be moon water also. Money or any symbol of money. Could be a checkbook, a resume, could be a dollar bill, anything that you want to represent money. An incense burner, and then an incense for prosperity. You could also substitute it for clover, pine, or bergamot. Place the candle in each of the 4 corners of the altar in front of you, the goddess candle and animal spirit candle in each of the corners furthest from you. The personal candle shall be placed to the closest corner to your left, and the intent candle, which is the green or brown, should be placed in the right corner nearest to you. Place your incense burner and money in the center of your altar. Light the candles and invoke the goddess Benzaiten. Meditate on your blessings of the last year and envision yourself having the prosperity you desire in the upcoming year. Anoint the money with salt water and thank the goddess for her many blessings. I included here some ritual recipes for prosperity that we discovered that was also connected to Benzaiten, or that can be used for Benzaiten. And here are some recipes for prosperity oil, prosperity incense, or blessings of Benzaiten that you can do in a witch bottle or in a small bottle that you could dedicate to her with flowers, basil, cedar, and rice. This is a spell to start for a new start under difficult circumstances. I personally love this picture of Benzaiten standing with her white dragon. It shows her sovereignty and the connection she has to the dragon. So whether your new beginning excites or scares you, Benzaiten's dragon is an excellent symbol of courage. So materials to make or draw a 2- or 3-dimensional dragon. It could be made of clay, wood, newspaper, glue, thin copper wire. It could even be, it could be just a simple drawing, whatever you can do. A small dish of dried tarragon. So best time to do this, 2 or 3 days before a new venture is to begin. You create your power dragon, giving it huge wings, so that you can soar high in the clouds to launch your new venture. Set out your dragon and place it next to the dish of tarragon, which is an herb of dragon courage. Say, I have the power, I have the courage, I have the dragon gold. How can I fail? Keep your dragon somewhere where you can see it, repeating the chant last thing at night and first thing in the morning in the days before your launch. If possible, add tarragon to meals. You can even buy a tiny ceramic or silver dragon to carry with you for your new beginning. So a little bit more about dragons, since they are so sacred to her. One of the earliest symbols of the great mother goddess of all matriarchies. Until the arrival of the patriarchal societies, the dragon was considered to be sacred, benevolent creatures. Its serpent body symbolized matter and life-giving water of creation. Its wings symbolized spirit and the breath of life. It was used as an emblem for divinity and royalty in Babylon, Egypt, China, Japan, Greece, and Rome. The Chinese Manchu dynasty, the Phoenicians, and the Saxons all showed it as enthroned, a symbol of the power of the ruler. The Chinese dragon symbolized the masculine yang power, very high spiritual power, and the emperor himself. This connection with imperial power carried over to England and Wales, and Oriental heroes did not hunt dragons as Western heroes did. So in the East, dragons were very sacred, and they were considered a lot of times benevolent. So had a little bit more of a benevolent nature to it rather than in the West. Little more about the Oriental dragon. Looks terrible and fierce, is shaped like a huge serpent with 4 legs but no wings. It's usually a symbol of prosperity, okay, hidden secrets, rain, and wisdom. Fun fact, the guardian of the mansions of the gods was the Chinese celestial dragon, Tianlong. He also prevented the deities from falling out of their heavenly realm. Some of the magical attributes of the dragon, especially Benzaiten's dragon, is protection, instruction in the spiritual, elemental magic, using the spiritual to transform life, adding courage to face a situation, and adding extra power to magic. There's here an empowerment spell that you can use with an image of Benzaiten, an image of a dragon, flame, and will to acquire more power. You can clear the energy of the room to clear its sacred space, however you like to clear the room or add sacredness to your circle. Ground and protect. Then you look at the image of Benzaiten and ask her to be present. Sit with your image of the dragon close enough to you at eye level. Place the flame between yourself and the dragon. Focus your power upon it and envision all of the attributes of the dragon you would like to acquire, such as wisdom, strength, magical power. Envision the flames jetting out, fueled by Benzaiten's power, sapping these attributes from the dragon's image and carrying them with you. The spell requires intense concentration. It's not for beginners, but when you feel the flames carry the power of the dragon back to you, you will feel a certain surge throughout your body, much like your muscles tightening at once. Keep your concentration as long as possible and then release. You will notice that this will give you increased energy, more physical strength. This ritual can be repeated as many times as needed for increased results. A side effect that we both noticed is that the spell brings an increased control over the fire element. So we did try this spell ourselves. It was very interesting experience. I'm sorry. Conclusion, when you are in need, ask Benzaiten, goddess of everything that flows, to provide it. Her white sea dragon, Hakuja, which is the name of the dragon, from the island of Enoshima, offers double protection, increased clarity of mind, and healing. There's nothing that together they cannot bring to your life. And once again, this is the painting that we will be having in our temple, God is willing. This is my friend who drew it. She goes by the name of Lou Mira as an artist, and this is her email.